Good evening, everybody. It's me, Andrew from All Barnum Racing, trying to cover the racing for you for a good Saturday's card and also a Sunday to look forward to as well, but we won't cover that in this video. Going to start, we've got Sandown, Aintree. There's also racing at Chepstow, Wetherby, and over at Navan in Ireland. So let's get started. The 12:05 first race. Not one I'm going to actually necessarily, one I want people to watch. I think Hardcore is a nice horse for the Skelton Yard. Won very nicely when beating Good Risk At All, who was obviously, has been quite highly tried so far and highly thought of. I thought Hardcore was one that could take Mai Tai on. I'm not so convinced Mai Tai is all they're trying to make him out to be, but we'll see. So that was one in the first. The second, I quite like one at a decent price here. I think could be trouble. Is overpriced, to be honest. 16-1 in a place. The reason I say that is he won 4 hurdles races, looked really progressive for the absolute red hot Donald McCain team, and Brian Hughes on board as well. He then got highly tried into a novice chase. That was probably too deep too soon. He has since, this mare has since had a little bit of a break, and they've decided to come back over hurdles here in a more realistic looking event. It is a hot race, but I think this one off 11 stone 9, 125 rated, just about perfect, I would say. She could go back and pick up where she was before over hurdles and could go well. The 115, excuse me, the 115 City Derby for Fergal O'Brien and Paddy Brennan. Run a good race at Cheltenham in that novice race there. Finished 4th. Come nicely on the outside. Finished its race out with plenty of promise. 112 rated doesn't seem to be too harsh in my opinion. Reasonably well priced. 6-1 you can get in a place. I just think that that one could go well in a race where conditions should suit and should get the pace to aim at, which is definitely something to consider. In the next, you've got a very interesting looking race. So, third time lucky for me and Tom. Reasons being, I think, and Tom probably would back this up, is that this one is a smart jumper. He's going to be near the pace. Sandown for novices. Those fences down the far side come thick and fast into the railway fences as well. You need to be a quick, accurate jumper. This one is definitely that. He could go very well, and I think that obviously 15-8, 5-4 earlier on in the week. I nearly had a bet because I thought that was a good price. 15-8, the drift is a little bit of a concern, but the yard's going well enough. There's no real worries there, I don't believe, and there's not going to be significant rain to change the ground too drastically, in my opinion. Edwardstone for Steve. I mean, this one was the best of these over hurdles. Edwardstone for the Alan King yard, Tom Cannon on board. He is a smart animal. There's no two ways about it. You get away. He was very highly touted around the Supreme Novices a few years ago. Didn't quite make it as far as I can remember. But over fences, they're expecting big things of him, I think. My only concern, and just obviously would air these to Steve as well, is that I'm not sure he's the most natural jumper. He's quite novicey still. Fell last time. I thought he was a bit novicey over hurdles, actually, even when he used to do that. So that would be the only concern. But he is a talented horse, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went and won. For Mark, he likes Il Rodotto for the Nichols yard with Cobden on board. Now, this won really nicely last weekend for those that might remember who backed it. Come there absolutely cruising, travelled like an absolute dream as well. This represents a significant step forward in class. If he's still in that vein of form and he travels into the race, it would be really important. Connections obviously like to have one, as we know, in that race and this sort of race. So definitely worth considering. And just a shout for the one right at the bottom, Stone and Silver, who I thought ran an absolute cracker last time. Excuse me. I think it was at Cheltenham. Ran an absolute cracker. Only just got beat and is not without a chance even at those prices. In the next, you've got the big one of the day, all round really. The Tingle Creek, won by some great horses over the years, as we well know. This is a small but select quality field. Just quickly going to give overview. There's two of the lads that like Nuba Negra, yeah, I think Nuba Negra. Let's talk about Nuba Negra. He has stepped forward significantly. Barring a poor bit of positioning in the champion chase last year, probably would have won the champion chase. Beating Chacun Pour Soi, who doesn't, in my opinion, probably isn't going to ever be a great Cheltenham horse. Might be proved wrong. But Nuba Negra definitely has stepped forward this year again. That win at Cheltenham last time out was very, very impressive. And the way he jumps and how quick he goes is quite remarkable, really. He's definitely a classy animal. And you can see why the lads fancy him. I've had a long look at this. I was torn. I'm not sure the prices are going to represent much to give us something to go on, but I think Chacun Pour Soi will beat Nuba Negra tomorrow now. My reasoning behind that, and I think Steve likes Chacun as well, is I think that Chacun is probably around about £5 to £6 better going right-handed. That's the first thing I want to say, which this is. I just think he's a little bit classier. I think he'll be good fresh. Steve agrees, obviously. And he is still an absolute beast. If the ground is not an issue. Only one little slight concern is Patrick Miller's never ridden this horse in public before, in a race. It's always had Paul Townend on it. So, obviously, that is one thing to consider, because Patrick is still an amateur, although he's one of the very best we've ever seen. So, that is to take into consideration. Nuba Negra, though, it could be a sight to be seen tomorrow, this. I can see it being Chacun trying to set the fractions, Nuba Negra trying to pick it off, and turning for home, 2 fences out. It could be any of them. At the prices, you wouldn't blame anybody for going Nuba Negra, but I'm going to stick my neck out. I think Chacun's probably got the edge on this one. The 3 o'clock, which is a very, very trappy looking race. None of the guys, as far as I'm concerned, have actually put... Oh, yes, sorry, I'm lying. So Mark's put forward Salty Boy. Salty Boy showed at Fontwell in the national that they've got, the regional national that they have there. Salty Boy, my goodness me, this one stayed all day. That's all it done. Kept going and going. David Bridgewater has a really good staying chaser for a few years here. It's an 8-year-old, this horse, so it's got plenty of scope. Strictly a Dancer has been a bit of a cash machine for me over the last few weeks, but I think this is probably a step too far. I wouldn't be convinced he wants an extra 2 furlongs. Again, you can always be wrong, but I think that the bookies are ducking for cover with the fact that he's been a Saturday horse the last few weeks. Dice Out Abba, he's a really good form round this sort of track, so I can see that could go well. I would like to give a little nod to Highland Hunter for the Nichols Yard. He thinks this could be a Welsh national horse, so it is a prep run, so I do have to bear that in mind. But, you know, I think that he will need to run pretty well to be considered for that going forward. And when he did highlight it in a video, Paul Nicholls, that he thought that this one was going to improve a ton this season, and I think that if he does, he's still well enough treated. I know he's carrying a lot of weight tomorrow, but well enough treated. This is a slightly lower level for this one to run in. I can see him being there. Whether he gets tired and what have you and finishes second, third, maybe. But if it all falls apart, it could just be the one to take for the race. The last race, the 3:35. For both, only 2 of us have put one up here. Both like the same horse. Mark and myself. I think a little bit of rain had come. Elam Valley for Fergal O'Brien again. Is pretty well treated, to be honest.